Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple Double Podcast. It is season 3. We were gone. It was a hiatus, but we're back. I'm Eddie Fitzgerald. Alongside me today, we got Cam McKee.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And Hunter Nisley.
What's going on, everybody? Great to be back. It's been a little while, but we're back and we're here to stay.
Well, let's just hope that the consistency stays. But we got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We're gonna be, recapping some of our off seasons, going through the week 1 recap, like what's happened in these first couple games, who stood out, general NBA news. We're going to be talking about all those extensions that just got signed over the past couple weeks. We're going to be talking about some young players who have been looking fantastic so far. We're going to give you our picks for MVP, Rookie of the Year, coaches, so stick around for everything. If you're listening on YouTube or watching this on YouTube better than that, be sure to like and subscribe, share the video, make sure that the Triple Double Podcast goes out there. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, be sure to follow, drop a like, leave a review. We're gonna post a lot more often. It's gonna be awesome. The TDP is back in full swing. We're gonna be bringing on some more guests. It's gonna be a great year. Basketball is back, and we are so happy. But with that being said, let's sort of jump into things. Crazy off season. Absolutely insane offseason. Parity has been restored into this league. There's no more
Thank goodness.
number one contender, I think, for a championship. Obviously there's, all the top tier teams, but there's no Golden State juggernaut that everybody has to go and chase down.
This is such an open year. Yeah,
it's
this
very
is one of the
open.
most fun
Nobody
seasons in
knows.
a long time.
Yes, and, Cam, I sort of want to get your take on this, as our resident Celtics fan. What did you think about all the moves that sort of happened with the Celtics this year? Danny Ainge has been regarded as like one of the best general managers, one of the best NBA basketball minds, like in a front office.
Mm-hmm.
How would you grade his offseason?
Yeah, obviously up and down after just the most disappointing season in years for the Celtics after everyone expected championship or bust with Irving and Hayward. Hayward just did not play well. The chemistry in the team was just very off, very bad. And obviously you could see that Irving was not happy throughout the season. He started off the season by saying, I'm here to re-sign. And then by the end, you knew he was gone. And honestly, I wasn't too upset about it by the end. It was obvious he wasn't happy there and it was never going to work out. And he seems happy in Brooklyn. I was mad at him at the beginning, but now I'm over it. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's somewhere where he feels a little more happy. And then the shock of the offseason was getting Kemba. We didn't really expect getting anybody. We thought that we were going to kind of start a rebuilding process. And instead we just go and get he's not quite as good as Irving, but he's still a great, fast, just like clutch guard that we can kind of replace with that. And then we go get all these draft picks. Danny Ainge, he loves his draft picks. And this draft so far looks to be a home run for Danny Ainge. He gets Carson Edwards, who has just been dropping dimes in summer league preseason. He's looked a little off at the start of the regular season. I'll give him that, but he's a rookie. It takes time. You get Grant Williams, who he's 3 games into the season and he's already looking like he's another Draymond, if not better than him. He is completely putting this team together chemistry-wise. He can play 3 through 5. It doesn't matter. He's been absolutely incredible through the first 3 games. And then you've got Romeo Langford, his lottery pick, who hasn't even seen a single minute yet. And then you got Tremont Waters in a 2-way contract, and everyone's favorite player, Taco Fall. We got into his first NBA game last night, I should say, and was unstoppable.
He
had 2 dunks. He looked incredible against the Knicks. I'm really looking forward to see his development. He's already looking better from the start. So yeah, I think you signed Jaylen Brown a new extension. I know we'll talk about that later, but yeah, it's been a rocky offseason, but I'm happy where we're at. We're gonna have a lot more fun this year.
Yeah, definitely not a rebuild, more of a retooling for the Celtics.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing heading into the offseason, and the draft has been fantastic. I guess the fruits of the labor of waiting for those draft picks to come in, and now you got a young team, young contracts where you can afford to sign those Jaylen Browns to those extensions. Now, Hunter, our team sort of had a little bit of chemistry going on this offseason. It was kind of interesting, and Cam as well. You know, with us taking my resident Philadelphia 76ers taking Al Horford.
I was almost
signing him to that big deal.
He rang that stupid bell before the game, and now he's completely dead to me.
It's so sick.
I was like, okay, that's fine. He's doing his thing. He's trying to get a championship, but then he rang that stupid bell.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it was great, and the Sixers have sort of been, we weren't really sure. There was a divide between Sixers fans between tear it down, let's just figure it out, wait until the next offseason, try and figure it all out later, or let's run it back, the 4 bounces off the rim, against Kawhi Leonard, didn't mean anything. We were 1 shot away from making it to the NBA Finals, possibly winning a championship. And, they sort of did a mixture of that. They brought back Tobias Harris, they signed Al Horford, and then they traded Jimmy Butler, to the Miami Heat, swapping him for Jay Rich, and I thought it was a great move personally, because why lose a superstar for nothing when you can get him for something, which was nice. I didn't think Jimmy was going to re-sign. I think a lot of Sixers fans in the playoffs, wanted him to re-sign after his great playoff run. But Hunter, what are your thoughts about that Jimmy Butler trade, as well as moving on from Hassan Whiteside and now getting Bam Adebayo as your starting center?
Tony, I'll get to Whiteside in a minute. You have no idea how happy I am about that. But with that Jimmy and Jay Rich trade, I think it's actually a really good trade for both teams.
Yeah.
It seemed like Jimmy Butler was not going to re-sign in Philly. He played a lot of big minutes for them last year, and in the playoffs, he was kind of their go-to guy when it came to the fourth quarter. But knowing he probably wasn't going to come back, they sent him to Miami. And he seems like he wants to be there. He's excited about being there. And Philly gets Jay Rich, who's a great 3-and-D guy, probably one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. And now you've got some more young talent on that Philly team. You have an unbelievable defensive team. I mean, it's going to be really, really difficult to score on them, especially come playoff time. That's going to be really tough. And more on the Miami Heat. Obviously got Jimmy, got rid of Whiteside, so that means Bam Adebayo can shine. We got rid of the worst center in the league, and now we've got a rising young star in Bam Adebayo. Also drafted Tyler Hero, and at the time, it seemed like a reach. He was projected to be late first round. We picked him up at, I believe, 14.
Yep.
And nobody was really sure about it. And he shined in Summer League. Preseason, he was really good. A little bit slower start to the regular season than preseason, but he's definitely on the climb. And Miami's just slowly, they're looking at, maybe a 4-seed, 5-seed this year. It's going to be exciting down in Miami.
Yeah, and the Sixers, I feel like the Boston Celtics and the Sixers, love each other's draft picks so much to the point where they now have to hate on each other's draft picks. A lot of people, a lot of Sixers fans were upset about not getting Carson Edwards, but they love Matisse Thybulle. And Celtics fans are very upset about not getting Matisse Thybulle, but they love Carson Edwards.
Oh,
and so it's going to be...
You got Matisse Thybulle, but we got the bull thighs of Carson Edwards.
Well played. And, I think the Sixers this offseason, they did a lot of things that are going to certainly help with their rotation. Embiid now doesn't have to play that 5 spot quite so often on a Tuesday in Memphis. You know what I mean? He's got the ability of having Horford and Kyle O'Quinn there to sort of lighten that load, get those minute restrictions, and come playoff time, he won't be so gassed because he's got to be the go-to guy coming in now. And, sort of shifting topics now, we sort of recapped our team's offseason, but it's a new season, fellas. Week 1 has just finished up for the NBA season. Well, I guess it'll be a week on Wednesday, but I'm still counting it. The TDP solidifies the end of the week. And, one of the most impactful games last night, nobody really saw it coming. The Suns almost sort of dominated the Clippers last night. Kind of crazy. Devin Booker dropped 30. Frank Kaminsky had 18, 20 points. I don't know how you're going to let Frank Kaminsky do that to you, but what were your thoughts, generally about that game?
It was interesting. The Suns have come out hot, and even with DeAndre Ayton, obviously has his 25 game suspension now. Once that happened, everybody kind of went like, "Oh, the Suns are going back to what they were last year." But no, they don't care. They came out, they balled out against the Clippers. There's this fire, there's this energy that they have this year, and I think you can give a lot of credit to Monty Williams coming in and just changing the culture there. It's just been, you know, Devin Booker has looked like a different person. He's been balling out. He's been efficient. Just the whole team in general. It's a different vibe, and I really like what's going on in Phoenix right now.
No, yeah, definitely agree. It's Clippers, obviously they're a great team, but they're not going to bring it every night. They can't bring it every night. You got Pat Bev, he's fouled out halfway through the fourth quarter. Yeah, Booker, Aiden, that kind of came out of nowhere, that suspension. But this Booker and Ayton duo is really what the Suns are focusing on for the future. And if Booker keeps playing well, if Ayton keeps playing well, they just got a lot of young guys that if they all just start improving step by step, and I think Monty Williams is there to help them do that, these guys could finally get out of the hole they've been in for years and years.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough, especially when you play in the Western Conference. If we're looking, like, it's a tough slot from 1 through 9, pretty much, in the Western Conference, 9 through 10, debatably. And then the Suns are just sort of there at the bottom. But, there are flashes, and that's what you sort of see from the Suns team. You saw it a little bit last year, when Devin Booker would just go on insane hot streaks and drop, like 40, 50 points, which, seems ridiculous, but that's just who Devin Booker is. And I really like DeAndre Ayton, his rookie season. If he can, get back from the suspension, learn from the suspension, and not have the same thing affect him, I think him and Booker can be really effective. I thought the Ricky Rubio signing was a bit of an overplay, but I think that it also can help, help this team a little bit more. Now you got some valuable pieces who you could trade away for more picks. TJ Warren has been, a solid scorer who you could trade at the trade deadline this year to a contender because he's on a decent contract. The Suns are putting themselves in a better position than they were necessarily, and I don't know if Ryan McDonough is starting to come to his senses or anything like that, but the Suns have just been kind of decent. And another game, another couple of games that have sort of stood out to me, and you guys as well, I would believe, is Pascal Siakam and the Toronto Raptors. How good has Pascal Siakam been is he the real deal?
Oh, absolutely. He is absolutely the real deal. He has been insane so far to start the season. Dropped 34 on opening night, 33 against the Celtics, 19 last night against the Bulls. He's just been on a tear. Year after year, he's just one of those guys that keeps getting better. He won Most Improved Player last year. No surprise to anybody there. Well deserved. I think he just keeps taking steps. He's so quick for his size. He can play multiple positions. He can shoot. He can drive. He can score. He can play defense. He's what Toronto has been looking for, the kind of way they play for years. He's the real deal for sure, and he just keeps looking to get better.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Cam. I see a little bit of Giannis Antetokounmpo in that man. He's just long, lanky. He, as a rookie, he was just kind of there. You could see the promise a little bit, but he was obviously young. Now that he's a couple years in the league, got to play with Kawhi for a year. You see he's really putting everything together right now. And I think we really saw in the finals last year when he balled out in multiple games there, we kind of saw what he could really be, what kind of player that Pascal Siakam actually is, and he's just shining right now in Toronto. And they still have a pretty decent supporting cast to help him up there as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I have been, looking, I work at, my school with the Long Island Nets, who's the G League affiliate of the Brooklyn Nets. And, I sort of got to see a little bit of Pascal Siakam before he sort of made the jump. I got to look at film a little bit there when he played with Raptors 905, and you could sort of see it. Like, a lot of people, like, he's a real success story coming out of the G League, and he shows why the G League is really necessary. It's those players who, like, yes, they don't want to stop playing basketball, but there's always that chance of getting that young superstar that has sort of now grown, and Pascal Siakam inking that extension has sort of been the cherry on top for him. Sort of shifting over now. We recap week 1 a little bit. Now we're going to shift our focus to just some more general NBA news and big extensions. Huge extensions. We see it every year. More and more players are getting paid the big bucks, and I got to say, we'll sort of go through each one here, relatively quickly. But, Bradley Beal got inked this week, 2 years, $72 million. Jaylen Brown got a 4-year, $110 million extension. Buddy Hield, 4 for 92. Sabonis, 4 for 77. And DeJounte, 4 for 64 down in San Antonio. Where do you guys want to start with this? Do you want to go Beal? Do you want to go Brown, Hield? We'll throw it to Cam. Cam, where do you want to start?
Yeah, I want to talk about Bradley Beal a little bit and just the Washington Wizards in general. You've already got John Wall, who can't stay healthy, who can't get on the court. You're paying him insane amount of money, and now you're putting Beal on this money as well. And of course, I understand for years now, Beal and Wall have been their guys. This is the dynamic duo for Washington. But at some point, you kind of just got to give up on this, where the Wizards are throwing out anybody they can. I've heard people joking around, or they're like, these guys just show up to the game and have to introduce themselves on opening night. Like, none of these guys know each other. None of these guys play together. And if you're giving Beal all this money, if you're giving Wall all this money, and you want to be competing, then you can't. It's tough for me. I don't even know how to explain it. I think it was a terrible deal for them. I think they should have let Beal walk. I think they should have rode out Wall's contract and started over. I just don't think they're going anywhere.
Hunter, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Cam. I think it is time to move on from this Beal and John Wall era. Obviously, they're probably not going to be able to get rid of John Wall until that contract runs up. But, I mean, it was a perfect opportunity to trade Beal at some point this year. There's still that opportunity, of course. I don't really – maybe signing him to the extension makes him a little more – teams are more willing to trade for him because he's going to be under contract. But it's time to restart. Get rid of Beal. They lost Thomas Satoransky this past offseason to the Bulls. They have a young guy, Thomas Bryant, who looks really, really promising. And they can get some good pieces from Bradley Beal. It's time to move on in Washington. I think their fans are ready for it. What do you see the organization to be ready for it too?
Yeah, they're definitely more of it's a factory of sadness down in the nation's capital right now. It's just been it's been really tough. Especially,
they got a World Series coming right now. They got a Stanley Cup. They got some other stuff going.
Yeah, I guess
basketball is completely.
Yeah, I guess Wizards basketball sort of gets pushed to the wayside when your team is in the World Series like that. But in terms of this extension for Bradley Beal, I don't think it was the worst move in the world for Bradley Beal's sake. I think he's still, like Hunter said, still open to the idea of getting traded, and now teams have him under contract for a little bit longer. I think this will put him as more of a hot commodity 3 years from now when he becomes a free agent. I think that he didn't know how much money he would necessarily be able to get this offseason when he'd become a free agent versus where he would get traded to a team who's looking for a contender. Because, in all honesty, in 2 years' time, you got it's a huge free agent class. Giannis Antetokounmpo will be a free agent. We'll see what happens with that. But then the year after that, it will be Bradley Beal. And so we'll sort of see where that goes. Cam, I got to throw it to you again. Jaylen Brown, 4-110. What are the Celtics hoping for here? Because 4 years, 110 is a lot for a third, maybe even a fourth option on your team.
Yeah, well, when the news first dropped, the Woj bomb, I kind of was like, I don't know, Jim. Who knows what's going to happen here.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
But so far this season, he has earned that money. He has been a monster on both sides of the court. And really, to answer your question, what the Celtics are looking for is this duo of Brown and Tatum to be the future of this team, to just keep that chemistry going. Tatum can get that extension next year, and they're hoping to do this rookie scale extension with Tatum as well. Brown, of course, being the first rookie scale extension Danny Ainge has done since Rajon Rondo in 2009. So he doesn't do this unless he really thinks these guys are going to be good. Jaylen Brown's biggest problem so far this season has been foul trouble. Obviously, against Philly, he was out pretty much the whole game because of foul trouble. But if he can stay out of that, he is a elite defender and can be an elite scorer when he gets to the rim as well. His shooting's looked well. So far this season, I'm totally okay with the contract.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, I was a little nervous.
My gripe with this entire contract is now I see, it's probably going to be he's the third option, which means that you got to move on from Gordon Hayward. And
he's gone.
He's got to be gone, and I don't know how much value you're going to be able to get from that versus Danny Ainge's ability to not get a lot of value back in the trades that he seeks. He's been, Gordon Hayward's been okay. He comes off the bench, but he's making too much money to come off the bench. He needs to be that third guy, and if he takes that step now to becoming that third guy, now you have sort of an issue where, do you trade Gordon Hayward now because you got to pay Tatum later, or do you try and keep him around because he's going to be, a key part in this championship run that you guys are hoping to build? And that's where I see where you're in a bit of a rock in a hard place here, and that's
absolutely.
that's where giving this money to Jaylen Brown right away, makes me uneasy for Celtics fans.
Well, it had to be now, honestly, because if he goes into free agency, he's a restricted free agent. But in a weak free agent class like this year, someone is going to pay him more money than the Celtics can. And with Danny Ainge's plan right now, Jaylen Brown is part of that plan. He's a huge part of that plan. You can't let him walk like that. With Hayward, it's not his fault, obviously, that injury. He's never been the same since that injury, but he's got to go. I don't know if you could even trade him. He's got this year, then it's a player option next year, which obviously he will go into because no one's going to pay him that kind of money now. But after that, I let him walk. I mean, if you get him, if he's for the right price, if he's willing to take a bench player's salary, then keep him on. But no, I think it's time to walk away from Gordon. Brown's definitely a lethal, capable third option, if not second option. Tatum has been very rocky.
And Hunter, now I want to sort of shift it to you. We've been kind of leaving you out of the mix a little bit. One of the teams that you and I sort of really like what they're doing right now is Sacramento and the Kings' entire organization. Buddy Hield, 4 years, 92. Ooh.
I like it. I actually do like this contract. Yes, I think Buddy Hield is worth the $92 million. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of him, going to the media wanting more money, saying I need to be signed now, I need more money now. And the Kings got it done, of course, and I think it's important that they got it done. But Buddy Hield he's the future type of guy for the NBA. He shoots a lot of threes. He's the perfect analytical guy that you can have on your team. Good 3-point shooter. Good scorer. He's still fairly young. He was a little bit older coming out of the draft.
He's a senior coming out
of
Oklahoma.
No one knows his age.
Nobody knows.
That's true. His age is in question a little bit right now. I think it's the right move for the Kings. Now, the Kings have looked a little sluggish this year. Luke Walton's taken over. Hasn't looked great so far. But I believe in the Kings. I believe in Buddy Hield. I think this is the right move.
I am sort of more hesitant than you are about this Hield extension. He has been okay, and he's been a nice complimentary two-guard to De'Aaron Fox, who I love. I love Swipa. He is fantastic. One of my favorite young players in the league right now. But to match that production of 4 years, $92 million, he is going to have to set the bar high. He's got to be more close to that 24, 25 point per game range, and I don't see him hitting that, as well as playing more effective defense. He's not the quickest guy on the court, and in the Western Conference, there are a lot of quick two guards. You got Devin Booker, James Harden, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City. It's going to be tough for them to sort of see the value here for Kings fans, but I think you kind of have to do it. It's like one of those situations where, if you don't do this, who's the next available guy that you could possibly bring in who's going to be that effective offensively. It's been tricky. And Hunter, again, I'm going to go to you. Sabonis, 4 years, 77. Where do you see this working out for them? Like, Sabonis is good, but is he that good now, or is that just what good players are getting nowadays?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think he is good enough for this contract. It's also just, if you're an above average player, it seems like you're getting these kind of contracts too. I think the Pacers, I'm more of a fan of Sabonis than I am of Miles Turner. I think they need to get rid of one of them. It's really hard to play both of them on the floor. They're both modern day centers, and I think Sabonis stretches the floor a little bit better for them. He's an okay defender. He's not great. He's not bad either. Miles Turner's obviously a great defensive center, but I think Sabonis just fits more for not only what they want to do, but just today's NBA than Miles Turner. I think he's a better fit, better shooter. Offensively, I like him more, and defensively, he can hold his own. And 4 years, $77 million might be a little bit of a stretch for Sabonis, but I think it's fair for him, and I'm excited to see how he plays with this contract now that he has all the money.
And Cam, I want to get you in on this too, but I want to sort of shift. Like, I want to hear your take on this sort of team building aspect that the Indiana Pacers are going on. You know what I mean? They have sort of their star in Victor Oladipo, but it's very reminiscent to me of those early 2010 Atlanta Hawks, where they were team basketball oriented. Does that work now in today's NBA?
So far, it does not look like it's working for the Pacers. I think the Pacers are in some big trouble if they don't figure it out. Oladipo, obviously, he's been great since going back to Indiana. He's been one of the superstars in the league, but he can't stay healthy. If he can't stay healthy, this Pacers team can't figure it out. They're paying Brogdon $80 million now, which is a lot of money for Malcolm Brogdon. I get he's young, he's good, but that's still a lot of money for that guy. They just re-signed Sabonis. There's a lot of money flying around for a team who has perpetually just stayed in that 5 spot.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. Like, team building, it's a great, I don't disagree with it. I think it's a good way, but like you said, in this NBA, where it's a lot of the duos now, it's this, you get 2 incredible players and then you just build around with bench players, just a good solid starting lineup. I think those teams are better than just overall solid team like the Pacers.
And I think that's sort of where I'm at as well. However, you're leaving yourself primed to be able to make a big trade at the deadline, because now you have those matching salaries. You could flip a Miles Turner and a couple of picks, maybe another bench piece here and there, and you could land yourself somebody who, like Kristaps Porzingis last year. You know what I mean? Take a look at that trade from last year, and now Luka and Porzingis are looking very, very good together. And that's where you can sort of get that second star in there, and now you have the supporting cast to make it work for those 2 guys. And now, lastly, real quick, guys, Zion Williamson out for almost 2 months, the number 1 overall pick. Rookie's getting hurt, but where do you guys see this for the Pelicans as well as Zion's career right now?
I'm worried about Zion. This starts to be a problem. He's a big guy. He's 6'6", 250, I think it was. I'm worried about it. This could be a recurring thing. And I thought the Pelicans were going to be fine, but they're 0-3 already to start the season. Brandon Ingram's been playing real well. He's top 5 in points so far to start the season, but they just keep losing. They can't find a way to win. And Zion's only a rookie. I don't know how much is going to help them when he comes back, if he does stay healthy. Obviously, he's a big impact player, but I think there was a lot of expectations going into the season after the entire revamp of the team. He took like half the Lakers and just put them on the Pelicans, the Duke Pelicans, some are saying. And it's not working so far. And just one player, I don't think is going to make I think Zion's win shares are going to be good. I think they're going to be high, but I don't think these Pelicans team is what people thought they were going to be.
Yes, I I'm with Cam. I'm very worried about Zion. I was kind of in a minority with not being a huge Zion guy coming out of the draft. I heard the terms.
Take.
I heard the terms. I heard the terms generational player, which I didn't agree with. I thought Zion was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be. They were saying next LeBron. Top 5 player in 2 years. That's not what I was thinking because he relied too much on his athleticism. Can't shoot. Decent passer. But if you can only score, it's like Ben Simmons he's kind of I think Zion is a poor man's Ben Simmons. And now that he's hurt the torn meniscus, he needs to lose a lot of weight. He's an offensive lineman, running around playing basketball right now. Yeah. And he's very good at what he does, but he has to lose weight. And, I watched a video the other day showing how the awkwardness of when he lands and the way he walks right now. He looks like he's a 60-year-old man when he walks. He waddles back and forth. His knees are kind of pushed inward a little bit. I'm really worried about his overall durability. I don't know if he doesn't kind of change the way he plays a little bit. I could see this being a short career for this man. I hope it's not, but
where I'm at in this situation is Zion is now the brand of the New York Pelican. Or New Orleans Pelicans, not New York Pelicans. Sorry, Knick fans. I know you wanted him, but he's not there anymore. And he's sort of lost, a little bit of his step. Like you said, I've been watching the videos about how awkward it's been being, about Zion and, the way that he's been wobbling. I'm worried that when he comes back from this injury, that it's not that he won't be the same player that he once was, but more in the sense of the Pelicans are going to really need to use him. They're going to need to show that they didn't lose Anthony Davis for nothing. They're going to want to put his usage rate in the high 20s, low 30s. And at that usage rate, after coming off that injury, because you need to sell tickets, put butts in the seats, show why you're still a relevant team, I feel like the Pelicans can really mismanage this entire situation, and you're almost looking at a Markelle Fultz situation. I hate saying that because Markelle has been looking pretty decent with the Orlando Magic so far to start the year, but I don't know. I feel like the Pelicans are in a really tricky situation, and it's all about proper time management. Zion does not need to play this year, although you think that he needs to, but give him the most amount of time possible. Even if you want to take to the All-Star break, do that. And,
I've got to, hold on one
second. Yeah, go ahead. Of course.
Hunter, take injuries out of it. I understand injuries is a problem, but without injuries, Zion at his peak performance is a generational player. So I disagree with you saying that.
I disagree with that.
When he's at his purest form, he's throwing around these NBA players like they're little kids. He's just such a dominant force. Obviously, yes, health is a factor, but when he's at the top of his game, he is a generational player. You saw it at Duke.
If he was 6'11", he'd be probably more of a generational player. But at 6'6", I just don't see it. I know he's obviously stronger and more athletic than a lot of these guys in the NBA, but I think he's one-dimensional. And you can't be one-dimensional if you're going to be a generational player, or you're going to lead your team to a championship. You just can't.
LeBron couldn't shoot coming into the league, and he worked on it. That's what Zion's going to do. He's going to work and get better. And be less than one.
But LeBron could do almost everything else other than shoot when he came into the league.
What can't Zion do? He can rebound.
Okay, he could rebound. He can be a good defender, maybe. He's undersized. He's an okay passer. He's not great. He's not bad either. And he's also
he's also like 19 years old.
Yeah, but the thing about him being a rookie is that he came into the league with the NBA body. Like most players, if you take a look at, to bring up a Sixer, Joel Embiid in 2014 when he got drafted, he looks like a skinny bag of bones. And now he looks like a full-fledged man.
Now he can't stay in shape. Eating too many hamburgers.
It's Chick-fil-A sandwiches, let's be real.
Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Chick-fil-A sandwiches and Shirley Temples. But the issue that I saw a lot with the draft is, again, most players like to grow into their bodies. Zion really doesn't have much room to grow as an NBA player, and then you're running into a Joel Embiid can't stay healthy issues where he can't stay in shape, he's putting on too much weight, and he's got to get a little bit leaner. Like, I know that stinks to say for like a 6'9", 285 power forward. Like, you got to get a little bit leaner, and that's just where that trade-off comes in, where if he's going to be a prime player, he's got to work at his body type. The talent is there, but the body type is what concerns me. And as we're talking about rookies, we're going to bring up a little bit of some young guns who are looking so good right now. They are shooting the lights out. They are balling. And Cam, you mentioned him earlier, Brandon Ingram. Oh my gosh. 2016, number 2 overall pick. People were calling him a bust most of the time. They talked about his Kevin Durant-like frame. And now he's just like, now that Kevin Durant, I guess, is injured, he's got to fill that Kevin Durant-like frame a little bit more. He's been shooting the lights out. He's been fantastic. We knew this dude could score and sort of facilitate a little bit, but he's been looking solid.
It's all about change of scenery. That's what all it is with some people. They just need a change of scenery. And I think Brandon Ingram is the number one aspect of that guy. LeBron comes in, he overshadows his development. It's tough. Like when LeBron came in there, he stunted every single player's growth on that Lakers team. And it's good that those young guys, Hart, Ingram, Ball, all got to go somewhere else, New Orleans, that is a young team and is still trying to develop these players. Where in LeBron, he's in win now mode and you don't have time to develop. You got to develop quick. And I think Brandon Ingram is going to be he's going to get the most out of this Anthony Davis trade out of any of the players.
Yeah. Hunter, what are your thoughts on Brandon Ingram, BI, balling out right now?
I'm pretty excited for it. Like you said, he had that Kevin Durant frame was kind of being compared to Kevin Durant coming out of the draft, and a little rocky his first couple years. But I think, Cam said the change of scenery. You can just see his comfort level. He looks like a totally different person than even last year. He looks more comfortable. His play is more fluid. He's just much more confident than he was before. The shots are falling. He's getting to the rim. He's getting to the line. He just looks like a totally different person. And, the Pelicans now have several young guys, and I think Ingram's, near the top of that list now of guys that they're really going to want to hang on to, guys that they see as future stars. And it's good to see Ingram finally coming into what we all kind of imagined he would coming out of Duke.
I also agree with that. And, sort of where I'm looking at this right now, and this is just sort of coming off the top of my head, these top picks from the Lakers, they need the change of scenery. If we take a look at their players who they drafted later, who are more considered NBA ready players, Josh Hart, Kyle Kuzma. I don't think any of us thought that Kyle Kuzma was going to be this fantastic coming out. But
right,
every player who they drafted, I believe second overall, all three of them, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and D'Angelo Russell, so far have needed a change of scenery in order to really be the players that they want to be. And I don't know what that says about the Lakers organization or, anything. The
Lakers organization is the biggest scam going right now. If it wasn't for their title, they would be the most laughed at, ridiculed organization in the NBA right now. They cannot get anything right. They keep messing up. Magic Johnson was a complete train wreck. He's out of there now. But Rob Pelinka isn't really that much better. And like I'm saying, the logo on their name, the Los Angeles Lakers, if it wasn't that, these guys would be getting laughed at as an organization.
I don't know about that. I mean, any I guess the idea that the Lakers name and LA, the location, big market, is what attracted LeBron and Davis together. You know what I mean? But any team that can
stink.
Yeah,
they have Kentavious Caldwell Pope. He cannot hit a shot to save his life, and they just re-signed the man. Clutch Sports. Rich Paul should have like a $1 billion salary. The best agent in the entire in probably any sport. Him and Drew Rosenhaus together are just a dynamic duo. Contavious Caldwell Pope just stole. He just committed grand larceny on the Los Angeles Lakers, all because of Rich Paul and LeBron James.
Hunter, I want to throw it to you now, talking about our guy, Luka Doncic. Luka, year 2. Oh, I see Cam rolling his eyes for those watching on YouTube right now. Don't let it think that we didn't get past you, Cam. Luka, sick, dude. He had a great rookie season. What can we expect from him in year 2 after these first couple games?
Luka Doncic, my expectations, I'm looking at maybe third team All NBA for this season. I think he's that good. I think he is, if we had like a fantasy draft right now, Luka is probably in my top 3 of guys that I would choose right now. If I could choose from any dude in the league, it's probably like Giannis, Kawhi, and then Luka. Like, I think he's that good. I think he just has everything. He's not a great defender, but he has everything else that he can do. They added Porzingis. They've got some nice pieces. I really like Jalen Brunson. I think they need another big guy on that team to kind of help them out. Just somebody other than Dwight Powell.
Yeah.
But Luka is nice, man. He's a great player.
He's so nice.
I'm excited to see where this team goes. I think they might sneak their way into the playoffs this year, and they've got 2, I wouldn't say superstars, but I think 2. Luka's a superstar in the making. Porzingis, I'd say, is when healthy, is a star, and you can do some damage with those 2 guys.
And flipping it over to Cam McKee, our resident Luka Doncic hater, Cam, your thoughts to everything Hunter has said.
Did you hear Luka Doncic was EuroLeague MVP at 19 years old?
I did.
How about that guy, huh? Yeah.
Great player.
He's fine. Yeah, he's good.
He's fine. Oh, he's fine. The dude won Rookie of the Year. What are you talking about? I mean, come on. Like, he's been crafty. He's been smart. He's been able to translate.
Still slow.
He's been able to translate his game. Albeit he's not the fastest guy in the league, but he's still been a competent defender, making up for that lack of speed. His ball handling, shooting ability has been absolutely electric, hitting some game winners, some big shots, almost like from the logo. It seems like this dude can hit it from anywhere. Luka's been sick, and sort
Let's see how he does in the playoffs.
Shift it over to you, Cam, a little bit more. Away from players you hate, let's go to somebody who you typically like.
Marcin Gortat is still on the free agent market. This man is looking for a job. How do you have people were calling him Defensive Player of the Year candidate in the past years, and you're not going to sign this man to a deal? I mean, come on, guys. How is Luka Doncic on the court and not?
Hey, he would fit perfect with the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe he's the big guy that they need.
You heard it here first, folks. Cam McKee says, cut Luka Doncic, sign Marcin Gortat.
No, I didn't say that.
They can both be on the same team, just not on the same court together.
I just think it's criminal that he doesn't have
a team right now. Yeah, the Polish Hammer needs a job.
He's the Polish Hammer.
But away from the Polish Hammer, let's talk about the little hot pistol out in Atlanta, Trae Young. How about him, Cam?
Oh, he's been electric so far. That Atlanta team is fun to watch. You still got the old veteran Vince Carter there. You got the young bloods, Kevin Huerter. I know that's not his name, but that's how I like to say it. You got Trae Young. You got John Collins. They are a fun team. Trae Young's been lighting it up multiple nights already to start the season. Year 2 so far, looking great, looking like he's really developing.
Yeah, no, he's leading. He's got to be close in terms of leading the league in points per game by now. He dropped 39 last night. Oh my goodness! Like, when he's hot, he's hot, and we knew that coming in, and now everybody I feel like is going to overreact and start making the point that I said it before, he's the next Steph Curry. When in reality, I don't think that he is the next Steph Curry because looking at some of these games, like, yeah, he scored 39, but not that efficiently in terms of, it's empty stats on a bad team, but it's still promising that when they eventually get to the point where they need to be, they can look at him and be like, all right, go get us a bucket, hit that clutch shot, you got the range, stretch the floor for us. Hunter, do you want to talk about Trae Young or more of a player who you seem to like a little bit more?
I'll transition from Trae Young to a different player. You mentioned good stats, bad team. I'm looking right at Karl Anthony Towns right now, too. I think they kind of go hand in hand, They're talented. They've obviously, they look good on their bad teams, but are they actually the real deal? Karl Anthony Towns, the last couple of years, been killing it. He's absolutely
the real deal. He gets a real bad rep up there in Minnesota. I think he's super underrated.
I have to admit, he's plagued by the second worst player in the league, Andrew Wiggins.
But still, top 100 player in the league. He was very upset that he was not rated top 100.
Imagine going from number 1 pick to not even in the top 100 in a couple years.
Well, we called it on this podcast, a couple years ago when Andrew got that extension, and we were talking about how Gary Harris is a far superior player compared to Andrew Wiggins. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, go ahead and take a look at that. Whenever we sort of covered that, I believe that was year 1 of the TDP, somewhere, I believe like the second, third week into the season.
I remember that.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely great. Yeah, Cat, he's a killer, man. Like, I gotta hand it to him. He's heading into his 5th year now. The defense still isn't, like, this Minnesota team, like, I feel like they just don't play defense. Like, they're just, like, they're there for highlight reels to score points and to go home with maybe a win at the end of the day. Like,
he's a great fantasy guy, Karl Anthony Towns, and a lot of players on that team, and that's it.
Beat the Nets on opening night, man.
He's a big stats guy, but he's not gonna ever lead a team to anything ever. Yeah, no matter where he's at.
He's definitely not your number 1 option on a championship team, in my opinion. He's got to be that number 2. Especially nowadays, it's very important that your number 1 guy can play both defense and be able to put the ball in the basket. And I think that Karl Anthony Towns can't really do that right now. And maybe he does that this year. But as from what I've seen so far, like, if he's not going to show it in the first couple games, like, I doubt that he's worked on it. Probably been too busy, streaming on Twitch or whatever, and sort of shifting over to our final topic of the podcast, sort of rounding it out. We've been talking about the early season, but I'm done talking about that right now, guys. Let's talk about the end of the season. I know it seems like it's so far away. The end of the year awards. I want on the record, who is your guys' pick? We'll go Cam first. Who's your pick for MVP?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I think it really, for the past few years, and I think this year as well, it's 2 guys that really stand out above the rest, and that's James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I think Giannis is just going to go on one of those runs where he just wins a couple in a row. He is just the most dominant force in the league. He is unstoppable. LeBron in his prime and Giannis right now are 2 of the most unstoppable players I've ever seen. And I think that continues this year. He's starting to work on threes. He's hitting 3-pointers now. And if he can get that figured out, I mean, it's over for
that would be big. That would be huge.
So I'm going to go with Giannis wins 2 in a row.
Hunter.
I'm going to go with a different player. I know the NBA likes to kind of give the MVP to different guys every year. You don't often see back-to-back winners very often. I think I'm going with the best center in the league, Nikola Jokic. And if the Nuggets get that 1 seed this year, Nikola Jokic, we saw he played really well in the playoffs last year. If he can continue that trend, he's he's not just the best big man passer in the league. He's one of the best passers in the league. And he's going to put up his normal points. He's gonna get boards. He's gonna be their big time assist man. I could see him winning the MVP, and that's who I'm gonna go with this year.
That's a great pick, Hunter. That's a great pick, and he's gonna be on a great team. He's on a great team too.
That's a terrible pick. Number one, don't know how you could say that Jokic is the best center in the league. In my opinion,
That's because
he's not. I mean, the best center in the league plays defense, and his name is Joel Embiid. But with that being said, my pick this year for MVP, I'm gonna have to go on record right now, and I'm gonna say that I think LeBron James gets it done. I think that
Really?
he has something to prove this year that nobody else really does. I think that's gonna
that
be
he's
the
not a
big
communist.
that he's not a communist. That he's not a communist, first of all. But I think that he has this chip on his shoulder. Last year, not making the playoffs, being absolutely terrible. He's got Anthony Davis. Now they have this big rival in the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George. He is going to need to ball out and actually care about the regular season this year because, let's be honest, in this Western Conference, seeding matters. Seeding absolutely matters. You don't want to go into Portland. You don't want to go into Denver. If you're playing the Clippers, like, it's whatever, it's a home game. But you don't want to go into Houston, right? Like, these are tough places to play, especially in a playoff series where, you have the best player on the court. LeBron James, I think, is going to need to step up this year, and I think he's going to do that, and I think that's going to be the storyline that the NBA is going to cover, that ESPN's going to love. LeBron is back. He's back with a vengeance. It's his revenge tour 2020. You know what I mean? And I think that's sort of my pick. I'll give you guys my pick right now for Rookie of the Year. I think it's going to be Kobe White. Kobe White has been absolutely dominant in these first couple games. I was also thinking Ja Morant with Jaren Jackson Jr. in Memphis. I think he's somebody who could also slide in there. But I think Kobe White the East is so bad to the point where I think that because the Bulls have some decent players, they'll find a way to sneak into the playoffs, and that will be the big story that Kobe White has come in out of UNC, led the team to the playoffs, and I think that's sort of where I'm at right now in terms of my Rookie of the Year thought process.
That's a good pick, Eddie, but I'm afraid to tell you there's another guard who's just better than Kobe White in the East. His name is R.J. Barrett.
There you go.
Oh, but you just... No, Tyler Hero's up there too, but R.J. Barrett, the Knicks are probably going to be pretty bad this year. I think he's going to be one of those good stats on a bad team kind of guy. They have actually looked pretty competent these first couple games. Like they've been playing really hard. They've actually been in these games. R.J. Barrett's been one of their leading scorers each night. I think he's going to get the job done. Dark horse though for Rookie of the Year, not well known, went undrafted. His name is Kendrick Nunn of the Miami Heat. Right now, he's averaging 21 points per game and also 4 assists per game. He dropped 40 in the preseason. He's been starting on Miami. I don't think he will win Rookie of the Year, but if he continues what he's doing right now, he's averaging 18 shots a game. He might sneak his way up there into the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's not bad. I mean, we already know Taco Fall's got this wrapped up. I don't know about this conversation. But I love him so much. So, Eddie, you took the words right out of my mouth. Ja Morant and Kobe White, just two guys who are kind of in the spotlight on their teams, even as a rookie, are going to get tons of playing time, going to get tons of chances to show what they can do. Absolutely agree. But I don't think we can count on Zion at all. I think the NBA is just so in love with this guy that even though he's going to have 2 months when he comes back, if he keeps up with these guys, even though he'll have 2 months behind, if he's still a little behind, I think the NBA will still give it to him just because they want him to be that superstar. They want to be able to profit off his name, and people just love Zion. They just love watching him play. So I absolutely don't think you can take his name out of the list yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the second round pick himself, Justin Wright Foreman out of Hofstra University on the Utah Jazz. He's on a 2-way contract, but he's in the NBA. He's one of the first players that Hofstra has had in the NBA in a long time since Craig Speedy Claxton. So shout out Hofstra, shout out Justin Wright Foreman. Defensive player of the year, Hunter, who you got?
I think it's going to be Rudy Gobert again. I think he's just in the perfect situation in Utah to just dominate on defense. They don't need him on offense. They put him in the short corner. They're like, hey, get an offensive rebound, an occasional lob, set some screens. You'll be good to go. He's probably the best defensive big man in the league, and I don't really see another guy taking that throne away from him this year.
Cam?
Yeah, that's a good pick. So I have two here. So my first one is Kawhi, and that is if he decides not to be a rest management guy this year. If he's like, okay, I'm going to go out and prove, like, people already think I'm the best player in the league. Now I'm going to show them I'm the best player in the league. I think if he goes out there, if he plays 80 games, 75 games, whatever, he's going to be a defensive force no matter what he does. That's just how he plays. That's just how he is. So I think if he plays enough games, he can definitely be up there in that list. And I also got to give out to Anthony Davis as well. I think he's trying to prove something here in LA. People know he's great, but he's been in the New Orleans. You don't see him on TV. With the Lakers, he's going to be on prime time all the time. I think he's going to show out. I think he's trying to he wants to please LeBron. You know, LeBron dragged him over to LA. He wanted to be in LA. So I think he wants to prove LeBron that he made the right choice as well.
I believe that Joel Embiid has a very good shot now with Al Horford in there. I think when he is on the court, he banks like in terms of advanced statistics, they are top 3 defensively, and when he's off the court, they're towards like the middle of the pack now with like in like 16, 17, and that was just most recently this season. He is the biggest impact defensive player in my opinion in the league when he's on the court. So I think that he, especially now having Al Horford, having a longer team, will help make the Sixers shine defensively, where like he can be the centerpiece of a great defensive unit in, you know, Philadelphia. And another player, I'm going to go with the Clippers again, but not Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Paul George is a dog.
The injury worries me, but I like that pick. I do like that.
The injury does worry me, but when he is healthy, like, let's keep in mind last year, he was still in the conversation for MVP. He was electric in Oklahoma City. He was great defensively. I think that he is going to be one of the reasons, more so than Kawhi Leonard, why the Clippers get to where they are. Cam, I'm going to throw it to you. Who's your pick for Coach of the Year?
Yeah, my Coach of the Year pick is in my mind very clear, and it probably won't be agreed with the NBA voters, but I don't care because he will be my Coach of the Year at the end of the year, and that's Monty Williams. If these guys even go 500, he deserves to be Coach of the Year. The Suns have been in a deep pit that they cannot get themselves out of for years and years. And just by that game against the Clippers, they're already improving. Like I said, if they even get to 500, that's such an improvement to what the Suns have been seeing that I think Monty Williams deserves the tip of the cap to that.
That's fair. I like that, Cam. I like that. I'm sticking with Mike Malone, since he's going to have the MVP on his team, Nikola Jokic. They have a good shot at being the 1 seed in the West. I think Mike Malone gets it done. The NBA loves to pick that 1 seed for the Coach of the Year, no matter who it is. So yeah. I'm going with Mike Malone.
I'm gonna go with Doc Rivers. I think that's probably my pick. Yeah. He's got to balance 2 superstars, keep the young guys healthy, make sure that they are where they need to be. And if, I don't think it's gonna happen, but if the Clippers somehow overtake the Lakers in terms of LA fandom, like, that's got to be on the hand of Coach Rivers. Like, when they're playing well, it's got to be due to the coach. And when you have all this talent, you need an Eric Spoelstra or somebody like that to be able to manage that talent effectively in order to win a championship. I think Doc Rivers is that guy. Hunter, most improved player, who you got?
Oh, I think we all might be in agreement for this. Bam Adebayo, I think, is going to win most improved player. Now that the worst player in the NBA, Hassan Whiteside, is not in his way of playing, Bam Adebayo has been shown out so far this year. He had a really nice chase down block last night against the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm a big Bam Adebayo guy. I think he's the most likely candidate to win most improved player of the year, and I'm excited to see how he does this year.
Yeah, I can't agree more with Hunter. Most improved player is one of those awards where you can you have the best guess going into the year. A lot of people were saying Pascal Siakam last year, and it was Pascal Siakam. I'm also going with Bam Adebayo. I think this is going to be a clear race. Like Hunter said, he's going to get all the time he wants now. Hassan's out. Shout out to my boy. I gotta say his name, Jaylen Brown. He's played well so far. If he's playing the way he is, he could definitely be in there. But I still think
he could be in the mix.
Yeah, but I still think Bam's going to win.
I think looking at it from this year, I'm going to go with Miles Bridges over in Charlotte. He's going to have a lot of empty minutes. Yeah. He's athletic. He showed a lot of flashes. Now he's got all the time, all the minutes in the world. You know, Kemba Walker's not there. Terry Rozier's not going to take the ball away from him. You know, they're going to want to play him a lot, and I think he's going to deliver this year. He's looked pretty solid in the preseason and in these first couple games.
Good stats, bad team.
Good stats, bad team. That's the recipe for myself. You know, I think that will pretty much do it right now for our, Triple Double podcast, first one of the season. Prediction. Yeah. You want to do finals pick? I'm down for some finals picks. Cam, who's your finals pick?
Well, just quick and easy. I like Clippers Bucks. Simple as that. Two best players in the league, Kawhi and Giannis.
Hunter.
I'm going Clippers and 76ers. I just think the 76ers are a more complete team right now than the Bucks. They have a little bit more, so I'm excited to see what they do to stop Giannis this year.
I am personally going to go with the Denver Nuggets versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Something just doesn't seem right about the first year of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and something doesn't seem right about the first year of Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I think they're going to be great, but something tells me in the playoffs, I feel like the consistency of the Denver Nuggets is going to be interesting, and I think that they were the 1 seed for a reason, right? And they didn't really lose anybody. They got some great players. I think I feel like that's where I'm at right now.
I hope that happens, because then we'll get to prove to you that Nikola Jokic is the best center in the league.
Oh my God, are you wearing a cap right now? I think that's a cap on right now.
Just watch him play. Just watch him play, Eddie.
You heard it here.
Nikola Jokic is up here. Joel's down here. Don't even.
The people listening on Spotify and Apple Music have no idea what you're talking about.
300 pounds. He's just an unstoppable force.
All right. Well, that will do it for us on the Triple Double podcast. Thank you all for listening. It's good to be back. If you like the videos, be sure to leave a like. Let us know what you want us to hear about in the next video. Some topics that you want. Feel free to follow us on Instagram at Triple Double Podcast. All social medias, Spotify, Apple Music. Share those. Make sure that everybody knows about us. We're guys who like talking about the NBA, and if you like listening to the NBA, you've come to the right spot. Well, with that being said, this has been the Triple Double Podcast. I'm Eddie Fitzgerald.
I'm Cam McKee.
I'm Hunter Nicely.
Have a great day, everybody.